What up, y'all? Welcome to episode 54 of the What's Up Cuzzo podcast with your two favorite cousins. We got Melly in the building.
What up? What up? How you living? How you feeling?
And we got your boy Marco in the building. Bah, 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 bah. For both of us. Man, happy new year to you, man.
Happy, yeah,
Now year.
yeah, right.
Yeah. So I just want to say happy new year to each and every one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed your time with the family. Man, that time went by so damn fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Yeah, we back to it in a few days.
Like we
And you
never
already
left.
you already to it, right?
I'm already to it. Yeah, I get a
Yeah.
couple, get a couple twos and fews in between. So hey,
Yeah,
right back to it.
absolutely. Yeah, man. So a lot has happened you know, over the years, over the year. This thing has, something that we, just picked up and started as we have been talking about it. And, things have come up and we still, made it a way to be consistent. Um, and I look forward to next year. Like the goal is to grow. I shout out to the 27 followers that we have right now. But we just actually had an addition, I think, last week. But shout out to y'all for viewing our content because those watch hours and scrolls and clicks and views won't go up unless it was for you. So we want to thank you. And yeah, greater things ahead. And we were actually kind of talking. We had a brief conversation, and it was more of like a conversation about stuff that we, are doing personally. But the stuff that we do personally, we would like for that stuff to carry over, so we can be able to help more people and impact more people by making ourselves better, becoming more knowledgeable, becoming more self-aware, becoming a more involved in other things that could bring value to ourselves and to you. So just wanted to say that.
No doubt. Well said. Absolutely. I echo that, cuz same.
Yes,
Feel
sir.
absolutely the same way. Definitely want it to be a benefit as well as not only entertainment but education. So we call it edutainment. I'm pretty sure that term has been coined. You know, out there for sure because I've heard it before. So shout out to that individual, those individuals that's used it before that. But yeah, we want people to be entertained by the information and the stories that we're coming across to share because that lets us know that people are interested in what we're saying or what we're talking about and they can benefit, from joining the conversation. So that's what we're doing.
Absolutely. And it's sort of like when you give a kid medication, sometimes they don't want to take it. So like like I know with my son, I give him a chaser. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes like the information is beneficial, like we may not necessarily want to hear it. Um, but we'll give you a chaser so it'll be more tolerable for you to get the information. I could come up with a lot of different other scenarios that you know um, kind of work in line with that, but we shall move forward. We don't got time for that.
Mm.
But man, things have happened.
And as always, things will continue to happen every single day. What we got?
Man, as we have been hearing in the news, being you, us, and I'm sure some of you, but there has been some alleged uncovering of fraud in Minnesota. in particularly daycare fraud. So for those that don't know, a famous podcaster actually hooked up with the guy who was doing his own investigation on several daycares, and allegedly those daycares didn't have any children. They didn't. Some of them didn't have any furniture. They didn't have any food. It was just like not a place suitable for kids. But I kind of deciding if we want to talk about this or not. But I asked my sister, did she hear about it? She said no. So that means that some of you out there may not have heard about it either. So guess what? We're gonna talk about it. So let me get that ready for you. And actually, this is in Ohio. They allegedly found some stuff in Ohio. Let's run it.
And in Ohio, one lawmaker there is demanding the state crack down on reports of fraud in publicly funded daycares, as independent journalists are also reviewing daycare sites to see if they're operational. The National News Desk, Lisa Rantella, has more.
From Minnesota,
I meant to say Quality Learning Center. They spelled learning wrong.
To Columbus.
You can see that total dump.
More people are targeting Somali-owned daycares, looking for kids and suggesting fraud. State Rep Josh Williams, who is running for U.S. Congress, sent this letter to the Ohio Department of Children and Youth, calling for more unannounced inspections and attendance audits of all publicly funded daycares in Ohio. He also wants to pull state and federal funds on the suspicion of fraud, opposed to a charge or conviction.
We're saying the funds have to stop until you prove that it is not fraud moving forward.
I mean, you go through some of these inspection reports and you do see non-compliance when it comes to attendance. Could that be a suspicion of fraud?
Yes, that can be a basis of suspicion of fraud.
Of the 578 publicly funded daycares in Franklin County, I looked through inspection reports for the first 20. Here's what I found. More than half was subject to a state inspection within the last 3 months. More than half were also found to be non-compliant with enrollment records. 2 were non-compliant with attendance records, which is used to calculate public funds.
Are you suggesting there is widespread fraud within publicly funded daycare centers in Columbus, especially those Somali-owned?
What we're alleging is that there is widespread reporting of potential fraud from individuals on the ground.
If fraud is found, Representative Williams says operators who are legal residents should face increased penalties. He says non-legal residents should be deported. At least one congressman in Minnesota is suggesting stripping citizenship.
Would you agree with that?
If an individual is a naturalized citizen where they came here under our goodwill and became a U.S. citizen through a naturalization process, there is a process to strip that citizenship back.
As for this Northeast Columbus daycare, already featured on social media for suspicions of fraud.
This place is just a total dump.
I found an inspection was done in October when it opened, and it's yet to receive any public funds.
They are not currently receiving any state or federal dollars because they have not met the requirements to receive that.
I'm investigator Lisa Rantella.
So, Cuzzo, I'll let you have the floor first. Your thoughts.
My thoughts is I'm glad that they're, bringing light to it and, paying attention to, what's going on allegedly on what's possibly happening in Ohio as well as Minnesota, and not, turning the blind eye to it. I'm wondering how long this has been going on, like they were saying 6/20/20 maybe, or, you even have more places that's still, attempting to get funding, but they haven't passed, the necessary requirements to be giving funding. So I'm glad they are doing the due diligence on that. And this just sounds like a hustle, pretty much. To me, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like you know, when immigrants come here, certain certain cultural backgrounds, they have what we call a monopoly on certain industries. You know, you have certain people from certain countries. They come here, you know, they have convenience stores, liquor stores, 7-Eleven. You have certain people when they come here, they have donut shops. You know, when they come here, they have beauty supplies, beauty stores, you know, um, nail shops, so forth and so on. So when I'm thinking about it and I'm listening to it, this just sounds like, yeah, hey, for this group, we're going to give them this, and then we're going to allow you guys to get funding for that. But the problem is that they're not actually opening up business and serving the communities. They're saying that they're doing this, but they're not opening up the businesses and serving the community. So that tells me that this is possible fraud. Now, for whatever reason, we don't understand why, you know, most of these places or locations haven't been open or isn't open currently serving the community. So that has to be done through an investigation, you know, so we can't say intrinsically this is what's happening, but allegedly, you know, we have to use this language because we have to give everybody the due diligence and let, you know, the legal process take its course. So, you know, on the surface, it looks exactly what it sounds like. But again, we have to allow the process of, you know, the investigation to take place and the findings to come out, and then the determinations to be made from that. But just to kind of go back to what some of the stuff that the representative was saying, like, okay, if we find that this is something that is true, you know, naturalization can be stripped away from you and you can be deported. And those are all valid means of things that could be done because you came here, like you said, through goodwill, and then you know, proceeded to engage in, you know, alleged fraud, you know. So I think that's something that, you know, you definitely want to pay attention to because this is a whole group of people. This is not one small particular onset. This is a whole group of people, which this is like a cultural thing. So if you come in here under the disguises and then you proceed to do this, you know, I'm not going to say all encompassing, but this is the look that you're being given right now, unfortunately. So, you know, through that investigation and then, you know, things come to light to see who's actually involved. Because the videos I've been seeing, not from Ohio, but other places that they've been caught up in some scams, you know, they're all just kind of like reading off scripts and then they're looking at it and they're like, oh, you know, like I did something bad or something's wrong. Like they really don't really realize what's happening here. And that's unfortunate because they probably were told to come here and then giving the wrong information. And now that they've been put in a situation to where they could be in trouble or they can go to jail or they can be deported, you know, they're starting to see the gravity, you know, of the actions being taken here. And just kind of thinking through some other videos I've seen, and I probably say it's not encompassing of everybody that thinks or talks this way, but it's just kind of being real unapologetic, real brash, you know, and I'm pretty sure those are videos that are meant to do that so they can cause infighting, confusion, dissent, you know. We understand the playbook and the reason that these things happen and why they happen. So it's not surprising to me that we've gotten the response that we've gotten. Now, I'm glad that other people have stepped up because we're no longer just leaving it up to our elected officials. Everybody is taking it on their own merits to say, hey, I'm going to go out and investigate this. I have my own platform. We have free speech, so go ahead and speak up and say what you see is not correct or right foundationally, speaking from in terms of what our morals and values are as a country, you know, and things are being allowed to happen in such a way to where it doesn't seem, you know, morally fair or morally right. So if we're having issues with our economics, but then you're giving tons of money away to foreign people or foreign aid, this is just another level of it. Now you're here on American soil allowing this to happen. What's the deeper play here, or what's really going on, I would say. So I don't want to get too far in the weeds on that part of it, but I would say I'm appreciating, the level of things that's being brought to light, how it's being done, why it's being done. That still remains to be seen. And we'll, I guess, keep our eyes, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be more information coming soon.
100%. You said a lot of good things. There. Definitely, we want to use allegedly, because this is still under the investigation phase. There's no clear cut information that we have that 100% this is happening. It's just allegations that have been made, and based on what we've seen, there definitely seems to be a lot of things that are off. I would just say, if I was doing something that was nefarious, that was, that I wanted to keep under wraps, I would say I'm not doing it either. Hey, no, I wouldn't say, oh, you got me. No, I wouldn't say that. I'm like, no, I'm not doing nothing. This is, status quo. And the crazy thing is, if this is what's happening, it seems like it's the same old playbook, that that some of us Americans have. I'm gonna just keep it 100, because there's some Americans that do some crazy stuff, some nefarious things. And guess what? They just found a way to get away with this stuff, for what it sounds like, allegedly, a very long time. Because I've seen, like, records that show millions of dollars, hundreds and hundreds of thousands, close to millions, $750,000 upward to $1.6 million being funneled through some of these daycares. And guess what? Are all of them, doing the same activity? Probably not. But what happens is, like I bring it back to our childhood. Guess what? When one of us did something bad, what happened, cuzzo?
Oh, we all got in trouble.
We all got a whooping. You know what I'm saying? We used to get whoopings back then. You know what I'm saying? We all got told the same thing. Guess what? If y'all don't sit down and act right, or if y'all don't stop doing what y'all doing, hey, all of y'all getting it. And that's what's happening, because a couple of people may have not been doing, failing inspections, failing a lot of, quotas and things like that, not providing the right documentation. Now it's a spotlight on everybody. What Denzel Washington saying Training Day? He said, "I'll put it." What he said? "I'll put the APBs on all y'all." Something he said here. Hey, all of y'all. Hey, we got an eye on you now. And I know this. If this is going on, it's not just limited. That's why I played the video from Ohio, because it's not just limited to Minnesota. This is happening everywhere, and it's not just a certain people. It's happening to multiple people are doing this. If this is happening, I'm sure this is like happening across the country. Maybe down in every city, every state, but it's happening more and more across the country. So, yeah, this is very interesting. I did want to play one other video. This is the one, that I had to laugh at. Let me see. Let's see. Because I was a little confused about this whole get down. Oh, yeah, here we go. Tampon Tim.
This particular daycare center was not featured in Nick Shirley's viral video, but it is one of the dozens flagged to state investigators earlier this year for receiving more than $1 million in federal funding, despite having multiple and repeated violations on record. The owners of Nokomis Daycare say surveillance cameras captured two men breaking into their business, claiming they cut through an outside cinder block wall, crawled through an interior wall, and busted their way in before getting into an office and stealing business records, including personal information of who attends the daycare. Here's the center's manager.
One video made by a specific individual made this all happen. Yesterday was our daycare. Tomorrow might be someone else's. We don't know. So this has to stop.
While the Minneapolis police are investigating this reported break-in, some are suggesting it could be a cover-up of wrongdoing, including the HHS official who paused.
I'm gonna stop it right there. So, man, hey, this is hilarious. Guess what? We're gonna get ahead of the allegations over here. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get ahead of the allegations, and yeah, I don't know. Let me say allegedly. So yeah, all allegedly. So I'm not a criminal, right? I've never. I mean, well, you know, to the extent, you know, I'm not saying I've been perfect. You know, I've, you know, years ago, like 10, 20 years ago, I probably ran a stop sign or something. You know what I'm saying? 10, 20 years ago, not nothing recent. You know, so I may have ran a light, you know, 15 years ago. You know what I'm saying? A long time ago. You know, nothing recently. However, if I was a criminal, would I break in to a daycare or to any location and steal their records, the records of you know, all the people that go to this particular place? Will I steal paycheck stubs? Will I risk my life to break into this place of business, not knowing what's on the other side, and steal these type of this type of information? I don't know. It just seems a little fishy, fishy to me. Let me. What it sounds like is, let me get ahead of the game, because I know y'all investigating folks, and let me you know, get rid of this information, or say this information is not available because it was stolen. That's what it sounds like me. It just sounds a little. This is one of those things I was talking about. This sounds a little hairy. You know what I'm saying? As my Caucasian brethren would say. You know what I'm saying? Sounds a little fishy there. You know what I'm saying? Like, how is it that, I don't know, because am I off or something? Like, why would somebody break in and steal that type of documentation? Why not, you know, like, if this is the place of business, I'm looking for money. I'm looking for valuables. I'm looking for things that I could grab and sell, you know, maybe not real quick, but not have to hold on to. What am I doing breaking in somewhere, period? But why go through the trouble of doing that and stealing records and, you know, of attendance and things like that? Just exactly what the government or whoever, you know, have to report to is going to ask for, you know, for my place of business, because it is a daycare. Like why would I go through that? I don't know. Just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if you have anything you want to give on that at all, but I don't have. That's all I have to say about that. I just wanted to play it because that was the more viral video that was being played.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta love the internet. I think I seen that video, and then everybody was saying like, "Man, this dude got on some type of expensive glasses." Like they were saying he had on. He got the nerve to sit
I
up
saw
there,
that.
yeah, and say that, you know, somebody broke in and broke through here and stole the records. Like, these dudes is diabolical, as they say, when it comes to getting out ahead of it and really, spinning the narrative on, this daycare center out in Minnesota, in an area that, is not, one of these high, visibly areas, and we breaking in here to steal records. That sounds like inside job all day. You ain't seen New Jack City when they got raided and they had to dump all the files, start burning stuff. They had to get rid of all of this.
That's a fact.
So you saying somebody broke in and did this for you? Okay, I got you. So there's no files here and no records because somebody broke in and took them. All right, I got you.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
that's wild. So anyway, man, let us know what you think inside the comments. As my little lower third says here, man, please like, comment, share, and sub to the show. We appreciate each and every subscription, each and every like, each and every comment. We want to, I've been enjoying responding back to some of the comments that people have had, some good insight that you guys bring. But on to the next one. Let's see here. And there we go. Share.
Welcome back. In California, a proposed ballot measure that would tax the wealthiest people in that state sparked some pretty intense backlash from a place that is rich in cash. We're talking about Silicon Valley. Supporters say the policy could generate billions of dollars and make up for an anticipated budget shortfall in the California healthcare system. However, big tech leaders and billionaires slam the proposal, arguing it will drive entrepreneurs to just leave California. So let's live to CBS News senior business and technology correspondent Jolene Kent. Okay, Jolene, they're not getting into our pockets, but is it as easy as this to summarize that this is about taxing the rich in Silicon Valley?
Reed, this is a really fundamental question of how to solve a problem here in California when it comes to healthcare and affordable healthcare. And this is really, if there are enough signatures and this does become a ballot initiative come November, this is driven by a union that is trying to make up what they call a gap in healthcare coverage and costs in the state of California. And the way it would work is California residents worth more than $1 billion would be taxed 5% of their assets would be taxed at a rate of 5%. And that could either be paid one time or it could be paid over 5 years, and it would retroactively, if passed, apply starting January 1st, which is in a couple of days. So the idea here is the reaction has been very strong and very controversial. If this goes,
so I'll just stop it right there because I want us to give more of our thought than actually having them talk more about it. But yeah. So let's see. What do you think about? And actually, I'll start first on this particular topic. We had this conversation, before, with the whole, guise of, them saying, tax the rich. One day, I hope to be rich. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know there's more work that I need to do, but the goal is to have, more assets, more, money, etc. And that's going to take a lot more effort than I'm doing right now. But when I get there, I'm already being taxed, and I'm going to be taxed along the way. And when I get there, I don't think it's right for me to get taxed more of a percentage that I'm already getting taxed. But it's going to happen. Guess what? My tax bracket is going to increase, and guess what? I'm going to get taxed more. So you're telling me that on top of that, say I get to a Billy, 20, I think you know, so you saying I get into become a billionaire, you know, I have to pay an additional tax on top of that. So you saying you're penalizing me for grinding, or maybe I inherited it. I don't care. Maybe I won the lottery. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to tax me additionally on top of that. So I'm curious, and this is the question that we talked about before. Where did the money go? Gavin Newsom hangs his hat on California being one of the most economically advanced states in the world. Where's the money at? Why is it that we have to tax the hell out of people? They're already taxing the hell out of the citizens. Where's the money at that we're getting? Like, why is it that there's a lot more have-nots than haves? Why is that the case in this economically booming state of California? See, what people don't realize, and I hear a lot of people agreeing with this, like, yeah, like it sounds cool, right? Tax the rich because they got the money to pay for it. It sounds like a great idea. But guess what? What happens when, you know, like if you look at Silicon Valley, which she kind of mentioned, you got your Googles, you got your other tech companies out that way. Guess what? If you're going to tax me an additional amount of money, there's other places with a lot of space, and I have the money to move there where I won't get taxed. I could easily pick up and go. And now, who are you going to tax? They're going to be taxing us. They're going to find some type of way to slip in another tax there because they're not going to be able to tax the rich like they think they are because they're going to up and leave. And they've been doing it. What companies have left already? You had I think YouTube left. I could be wrong. Like, so if I'm wrong, you know, I can look it up really quick right now. Actually, I'll do that. But I know In-N-Out is not doing business. Like, their corporate is not in California anymore. You know, like, why do you think that is? You think it's just because they don't like the weather? They don't like it sunny all the time? You know what I'm saying? It's raining today, but they don't like the sun. You know what? I'm tired of the sun. You know what I'm saying? I'm a bounce. Like, what is the reasons? These are some of the reasons that these companies are starting to leave, and they will leave because of these ignorant officials, and people don't really think about the long term. They just think about this short term thing. Okay, yeah, let's tax the rich, and that'll solve all our problems. And then I have another question, like, who is this money or this medical? They said it's for like Medicare, you know, medical care and stuff like that. Like, who is this for? Like, is it for people who are people from the, you know, that are born here or naturalized here, or is it for something else? Because guess what? We tried to, you know, slip in, you know, Medicare and get it subsidized another way, but we can't get it that way because, or guess we're gonna tax the rich because we can't get it the way we want to get it. Like, who is that's a question that I have. Who is this money gonna go to? I want to know. Wrong one. There we go. And they can't tell us that. They just propose this thing and that's it. And from what I hear, they're working on getting signatures for this particular bill. But I think it's a bad idea. I think it's a bad idea for us to go down that road because at the end of the day, we're going to be left with our hand in the you know, us paying the taxes, and us being like those who are not millionaires and billionaires. Because they all leave, like who else? Like, and then that's going to make it even worse because now less jobs. Right. If the Googles leaves, if the, you know, these other companies leave, yeah, some of the stuff you could do online, you know, you could work remotely. But some of the jobs you have to go in, and guess what? Wherever they leave and go to, that's where the jobs are going to go. And so we have to think long term and not short term, and think about how it was playing out. If you had millions of dollars, what are you going to try to do? I'm going to try to move to my residence going to be in a place with less taxes, because that means I get to keep more money in my pocket. And so you telling me you're smarter than a person who became a billionaire with your money, and you're not even 100 You ain't got $5 in your pocket, and you're smarter than a billionaire with their money. So they're going to up and leave. These companies are going to uproot and leave. And I just said jobs, but what about living situations, hotels around the area, you know, car dealerships around the area, restaurants around the area, etc. Like all those things are going to be impacted. And so that will be the impact of what happened. So we'll get to see, because all the economics around these companies, if they decide to go, will be impacted. And so you know, it'll leave a hole in it. And guess what? Well, who would the rich be that we could tax? The next, you know what? Tax the millionaires. No, they out of here. Tax the thousandaires. Hey, it's gonna be a downward spiral. Yes, sir. Cuzzo, what about what you think?
Yeah, man, I agree with a lot of what you said, and it's unfortunate that they've been attempting to do this for years. This is nothing new. But as you said, you know, as the taxes have been rising in California anyway, California is be one of the higher tax states, you know, in the country, you know, so that's why we've seen Tesla leave. That's why we've seen, you know, SpaceX leave. That's why we've seen, you know, on the news recently, you know, some of these gas companies are thinking about leaving too, or going to leave, you know, California. Right. So it's just kind of like, people don't really understand and know that a tax wasn't a thing in this country until I think about 1954, I want to say. So
yeah,
it's
I think
like
it was before that. It was
yeah, it wasn't. It's
World War.
Yes, it's very recent, but it's just kind of like it was supposed to be temporary. So now they found a way to keep this something that's happening perpetually, you know, in purgatory. So I'm thinking like until you die, you're gonna always have a tax. Same thing with houses. Why do you have property tax? If I purchase a home and I pay my house off, you should be able to own that and the land free and clear. Why am I paying property tax every year? And where is that money going? You know, it's not going.
Daycares.
Yeah, it's going to fund the Somali daycares, you know, that's doing nothing to house any children. You know, they're supposed to be buying food and, you know, all this other stuff, and they're not doing anything with it either. And I think this is stuff that they're doing by design, because this is how they want people to live. They want people to depend on the government. They want people not self-sufficient. They want people to think that the government is all that they have a good life, and that's not true. So when you see anything over history, when people have become, you know, self-sustaining, they give me 1 second. Let me answer this.
All right. Yeah, I'll just kind of add this is that uh, the government, we don't need more government. Like these are regular people who are supposed to be advocating on our behalf. Like people think we need the government to necessarily run this country. But, and that's why voting is important, is because the government are advocates for what you believe and what you say. And I had a conversation, with my pops, a whole conversation about our government officials and who's running the country and all this stuff and like we brought up taxes, like the same exact thing that you talked about. And the taxes that we had, they were to fund a war. And it was like I think 1929. I think that was when I think it was around 1929. Is when was used to fund the war. And after the war, it went back to normal. Like the way that we got money that to survive, like the country to run, was through tariffs, was via tariffs. And so that's why it amazes me, like when people, they like to bring up the fact that, why is he proposing tariffs on these countries? That's how the country used to run. And thus them taking money out of our checks, was a temporary resolution to help fund a war that was happening. That was it. And then there was another war, maybe, decade or so. I'm sorry, a couple decades later. And it happened again, the fund war. But then that's when it was implemented longer, after that was implemented longer term, and it never went back, kind of like what Cuzzo was saying, but he's back. So I will let him continue his thoughts. Go ahead, Cuzzo. I'll let you continue your thoughts. You muted though.
Yeah, I didn't get that last part. You had cut off, but
clip that. Yeah. No, what I was saying, I was just kind of adding to what you were saying, how the money that we're being taxed back in the I think it was 1929, if I'm not mistaken. It was somewhere around there. We were taxed to fund a war that was happening. But the majority of the money, the way the country was ran, was through tariffs, like via tariffs. But it was just a temporary resolution, for people to be taxed to fund this war. And it happened again. And when it happened the second time, it stayed around. And I'll actually pull that up because so we could, not just be hearsay. But I had a conversation with my dad about this. He was like, no, because he was talking about tariffs and the T guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm just like, man, like, what are you talking about? Like, this is how, and he's like, no, like, yes. I said, I can look it up right now. It's facts.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went down a whole rabbit hole. We started talking about, the history of Democrats and Republicans, how, it was a whole lot of Black Republicans out there back in the day that were part of, and then some of the Democratic side, they wore, the white, wore white, if I'll just say it like that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we'll go ahead. I'll let you finish your thought.
Wore white.
I'll look up that information.
We ain't talking about Labor Day either. That's crazy.
No, sir.
Yeah, but basically, I mean, you have these businesses leaving California, and where do you think that's going to leave your local economy? Where do you think that's going to leave, the people that's still here working? If you have businesses and their corporate offices leaving, you already have certain places and areas that are headquartered that they're paying, a mortgage, or they're paying somewhere to house. So when you raise taxes, it's like it's no longer a viable place for me to build a business here anymore. It's no longer, yes, the weather is great. Yes, there's a lot of people that work for us here, but You know, in order for us to sustain ourselves as a business, we have to be somewhere where it's business friendly, they call it. You know, meaning, you know, we have a lot of tax breaks because we bring industry here to the area. So it just seems like California does not care about that anymore. They care about something else. They care about, you know, whatever we want you to pay, you're going to pay it because this is California. This is a place that, you know, has the greatest weather. So we know people are going to want to come live here. Yes, people are going to want to come live here, but not businesses. So how is that going to, you know, have your economy look? How is it going to make your economy look? You know, everything is moving away from California and over to Texas. They're getting ready to build another mega city there. You know, I was reading not too long ago. You know, Texas is one of the things that's up and coming and booming. It's been that way for the past 10, 15, you know, years and counting. And there's a reason why, you know, we got the blueprint. We know why, you know, back in the early 20s, 30s, you know, everybody was migrating west because people wanted to have opportunity to work and live as, you know, they wanted. And this was the area and the location that was providing that opportunity. Now it seems like it's shifting, you know, away from that towards something else. So who's ever controlling, you know, that is the reason why, you know, we have what we have currently. So it's unfortunate, but that's just the way we see things as now because that's what we have. So I think if people start asking more questions or better questions, I would say not even more questions, just better questions. Why do I even have to pay a tax? What am I paying taxes for? And don't give me that, oh, it's for the roads, it's for this. Okay, so where are the numbers at? Where's the information to show me that? Like a daycare, let me see the files. Are the files stolen? I need to see where the money's going. Did somebody break in and steal the files? Because the roads are not great. As you can see, every time it rains here, you got Grand Canyon sized potholes, streets everywhere. So it's not for
That's
the
a fact.
roads. It's not to keep, you know, homelessness intact. It's not to, you know, fund this or fund that, because when you fund it, none of that stuff gets done. The money gets stolen or it gets siphoned off and, you know, moved somewhere else. So you can no longer tell people that this is what this is for, and it's not, because we can see, you know, the actions, we can see the outcome, we can see the results.
Yes,
That's
sir.
all I have to say about that.
All right, Forrest. Hold on, what the heck just happened? Oh, we looking weird over here. Hold on. Let me see if I refresh it. Will it kick us off?
I'm still here. It's been doing that all day too.
It did kick me off. Okay. No problem. So yeah, so can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, so I looked it up. So I got Gemini on my other account, but it won't let me share that side unless I share my entire screen. But when I do that, it'll do what it just did just now. It'll have us cut off at the head. So I'll just kind of read it real quick. So I was totally off on the dates, and excuse me, guys, I am not a historian. But the Civil War prototype 1861 to 1872, the first tax in 1860, President Abraham Lincoln realized Paris could not fund a Union army. He signed the first income tax into law, a flat 3% on incomes over $800. Okay. Then in let me see, the unconstitutional period 1894 to 1913. In 1894, Congress tried to bring the tax back and target the Gilded Age wealthy, but the Superior Court stepped in. Superior Court. The Supreme Court stepped in and ruled that the income tax was unconstitutional, they argue it was a direct tax that, according to the original Constitution, had to be divided among the state based on their population, which was impossible for an income tax. All right. Okay. World War II. This is what I was talking about. I was still off on the dates. It was 1943. For the first 30 years after the 16th Amendment, the income tax was a rich man's tax. And I was closer. 1939, only about 4 million Americans filed a return. The mass tax worldwide, World War II changed everything. To fund the global fight, the government lowered exemptions, and suddenly 50 million Americans were required to pay withholding. 1943 Act. Before 1943, people paid their taxes in one giant lump sum at the end of the year. The government realized people wouldn't save enough for this, so they passed a Current Tax Payment Act of 1943, requiring the employers to take the money directly out of their paychecks. There you go. That is some of the history, brief, but some of the history on why we getting taxed. All right. So yeah, man, let us know what you think about that topic inside of the comments. Do you think it's gonna affect, us non-millionaires and billionaires in the long run? It could. I think it could happen, but some people don't think that. So no problem. So let me see what we got next. I don't know if we want to talk about some degenerate stuff. Let me see. Oh yeah, I want to run this real quick. Shout out to my brother from another mother who sent me this. Let's see. Oh yeah, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Man, we appreciate y'all. Man, we're working on growing this thing, man. We cannot do it without you. Each watch, each share, each like, each comment helps us out. Holla at me. So let's see. We talk about AI and robotics and things like that. And my brother sent me this. I don't think it's no audio to it though, but I guess we'll just watch it. So what it is robotic hands pretty much removing the outer layer of the egg, and it basically that thin little piece that normally when you crack an egg it breaks. It was able to remove the outer layer without puncturing that, and then it was able to make a small incision, I guess a stitch, looks like a stitch on that layer. So which is crazy. We talk about, I'll stop it here, but we talk about how artificial intelligence and robotics and things like that are part of our future. And it's kind of like, it's one of those instances that shows like, man, even the doctors, man, the surgeons, surgeons not safe. Like this is pretty ingenious. I'll tell you this though, I don't want to be the first one to, first you to be tested, to be the test bed for that. You know what I'm saying? Like doing open heart surgery and there's an update. Like, hey man, sorry, Mrs. Winfrey, we couldn't save him. Tell her why. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
Yeah, but this is incredible though, like to see like how precise those mechanical arms are, how it opens that up without puncturing that part of the egg. And yeah, I think it's kind of where everything else is going, man. Like technology is taking over, it's advancing. I know when we were younger, particularly 26 years ago, everything wasn't going to be working in 2000. We was going to have flying cars and all this other stuff, and things didn't necessarily move as fast as that. But it seems like now in this era, there's a lot of talks and there's a lot of things that we see that have like propelled us way forward with technology, and things are happening really, really fast. So again, if you don't have to deep dive necessarily, but if you don't involve yourself in learning some of this stuff, I'm not saying you have to be a surgeon, but guess what? A surgeon is not, I guarantee a surgeon didn't create this. A surgeon may have been advised about creating this, but it was somebody that deals with technology. They did the programming. They created, those robotic hands. So something that you should be learning. And I'm not saying you have to deep dive into it, but it doesn't take but 15, 30 minutes, every day to start to pick this up and learn it. So that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll see stuff like this and I'll just think, okay, yeah, this is kind of like when cars are made. Can you hear me now?
I'm not sure why.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me? Check.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is kind of reminds me of like when cars are built. You go down the assembly line, you have a lot of the robotic arms, moving and putting pieces together. So I'm not surprised by this, and this is definitely precise and was done with precision. A program, software, algorithm, all those things that go off, patterns, which is ones and zeros and numbers. So you won't have to worry about, the guy with the scapula, drinking before your surgery. Of course, the software update is one you might have to think about, but you definitely gonna make sure that that's done before you go in there. Make sure that the software, monthly subscription is updated. They didn't pay for it, so they won't get cut off in mid surgery. All that good stuff. So yeah, these are some of the things, like I said, are going to not have to be done. And I think too, in the near future, you're going to have the option. Do you want human hands, or do you want AI, or you want robotic hands, or whatever they're going to call it? So I think that's something that's going to be interesting to see over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, how this actually develops. And maybe, for people that have money or better insurance, would be able to get, the robotic hands. And then if you don't have good insurance, you're gonna have to get some real hands. And I don't know.
The one that had a drink before,
a couple had drinks. A drink, yeah. You got Dr. Melvin. He been drinking.
Better Call Saul type.
Yeah. Better Call Saul, exactly. So it's like it's gonna be interesting to see how that all plays out, because one of the major topics we've been having an issue with, yeah, that's fine, and it's been about medical. It's been about being able to have medical paid for, and being able to have that something as a given. It should be free, universal. So it's like, okay, if you want to play that way, then okay, then you can do it this way. If you want to have it privatized like it's been, then okay, you'll have these options. So, and then here, I just understand too that we don't have the best, or the best as it should be, because it's real expensive. Yeah, you have really good, people doing it, but it shouldn't be as expensive as it is. So that's why you're starting to see the trends of people going overseas or going across the border, getting their teeth fixed, getting their eyes, checked, all this other stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out, in the near future, with those things looming. We talked about a topic earlier with the whole businesses leaving California. Doctors could possibly leaving, hospitals could possibly be leaving. So another thing that might come up is, hey, well, it could be cheaper if we can have Waymo do your surgery instead of real doctors.
Oh man,
it's like, huh? Waymo? I don't know. I don't know about that.
Medmo.
Medmo. There you go.
Surgemo.
Surgemo.
Not Waymo, man. We don't mean that Waymo.
Yeah.
Don't you know what I'm saying? But
right,
you know what he was saying.
Yeah, but it's just kind of like they have like the I've seen it before, but like the AI, they have the hologram where you come into a facility and it checks you up, checks your vital
scans your body.
signs, scans your body. So all those things that are starting to come into play and happening, this is going to be a part of it.
So you saying we're gonna have an app where we could choose? It's gonna be, you said, like the Uber-ish or Waymo type. You can call them on the app. Hey man, I need heart surgery. Like, come through.
Right, you can get it done today, or you can get it done in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, we gotta call somebody to see, if they're available.
And that'd be crazy though if things like that become like app driven. I know that's a different topic, but I don't know. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I mean it's possible.
For sure.
Yeah, man. So anyway, let me put this back up here. Read that. This one last thing, man. Here go the low level, you know what I'm saying, type of thing right here. It's the last topic. I saw this. And pause that. I was curious as to what was going on right here. So on New Year's Day, early in the morning, apparently somebody broke into this gentleman's house, and I had a lot of questions about it, but let me see. No, not that one. This one. No, not that one either. There we go. That one. All right. Let's run down this real quick. Let's see.
They were running back and forth in my front yard, trying to figure out how they could penetrate or try to make the arrangements to get inside my house. I had invited a lady friend to come to my residence and spend some time with me, and we were listening to music, watching videos, and having a few drinks.
But he says that woman and another were plotting to rob him the whole time. Watch as the women go in and out of the home over and over. Then at least 3 men arrive at the door. One woman walks out. She then tells them to go away.
I was getting alerts from my phone that they were going in at my door, and I realized that they was trying to rob me.
We'll stop it right there, man. Hey, the homie, he tried to breeze past that, man. I seen a little smirk. I had a lady friend. You see them girls, man? Hey, bro.
Lady friend, them girls look young.
As hell. And that's what I thought, like, man, you all greasy. They wasn't over there to hang out with you. They wasn't trying to hang out with you and and have drinks. I mean, the drinks was an added bonus. But I know their minds was on something else. What was going on? They needed to find out. Hey, he got money. Allegedly, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say that. That's what it appeared like, that they weren't there to just hang out with you. And I don't know if they was your friends. Because if I'm not mistaken, there was another video where he said he he may have just met them recently. You know what I'm saying? So you trying to, you know, lose it all over these alleged lady friends. I mean, luckily, you know, nothing happened. From what I understand, they were arrested. But hey, man, we gotta watch out, man. Hey, I used to tell cats even when I was younger. You know, hey, yeah, you not bringing so and so, you not doing this, you not bringing her back. Nah, bro, I don't trust her. I guess what? Like, hey, I just met her, man. She might be setup artist. And they, you know, like, man, women are great at you know, if they're acting in their femininity, they great at, you know, guys, they know what a guy want, and they're great at being what he wants to get what they want sometimes.
Manipulators.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
And if you allow yourself to be manipulated, it may cost you more than what you want. Make it more than what you bargained for. And so, like, yeah, Cash used to ask me, oh yeah, like, you know, we used to go out, hang out. Like, yeah, nah, I'm cool. You know, so I might get her information and get to know her, so I could kind of vet her and see, you know, what she about. You know, and I'm not gonna sit there and lie and not say that, you know, I had, you know, 1 or 2 encounters. But I remember, well, maybe I shouldn't bring that up, but I remember one encounter didn't necessarily go, you know, like I had envisioned it, and didn't go how she envisioned. She wanted me to do certain things, and I was like, I ain't doing that, baby. I'm sorry. I just met you. You know what I'm saying? Y'all could, you know, think of what y'all want to think. Hey, we ain't doing that. Oh, you want to go home? Okay, no problem. Take you to the house. You know, but yeah, I just think that, you know, especially if you don't know somebody, you put yourself at a big disadvantage. And you know, luckily, you know, this played out in his favor. You know, the girls are in jail, you know, and hopefully this didn't happen. I mean, it probably did happen to somebody else, but hopefully it didn't, you know, happen to somebody else. And now that, you know, they're behind bars, you know, hopefully, you know, this lowers the chance of them doing this to somebody else. So yeah.
I'm happy to the fact that no one got hurt in the situation, because it definitely could have went all the way left. You know, one of the girls could have got shot. One of the young boys could have got shot. The person in the home that they were trying to rob could have got shot. You know, and all these people could have, you know, been going to jail for a very long time. At this case, you know, maybe it's not too long, you know, a couple of slaps on the wrist. It just depends. So hopefully, you know, this kind of changes the trajectory, you know, of some of these young individuals. Because for that, you know, what I've seen in the video, yeah, they going down a path to where it's not going to lead to anywhere that is going to be positive for, you know, their outcomes in life. So, you know, hopefully this is a wake up call, you know, and more than likely it's probably not for a lot of them. But again, I'm glad that nothing happened. And just like I said, looking at it, like, yeah, he was thinking of some other stuff. Cause just looking at him, looking at them, it's like, smart man would be like, what these girls want with me, you know? Not to say he's a terrible looking man, but it's like, you way older. Maybe back in your day you could have, you know, did something, but now it's just kind of like, you look like their daddy, their uncle, like, you know. But you know, I'll give him some slack. You know, older gentleman, he's not thinking about that. He's just trying to enjoy himself, a little drink, some videos, some Netflix. You know, he just thinking everybody cool, but it's like, yeah, you gotta be careful, especially when it's multiple girls together. They always thinking of ways, not really to scheme, but they always thinking of ways to survive. per se.
Right.
You know, together. So you definitely be careful out there.
Man. Man, I've seen many a time. Well, I'm sorry, not seen, but I heard many instances where not just over here, but in other countries that you got, you know, two of them together, and you end up, you know, thinking you don't get what you want. Oh, actually, you know what? Over here, you know, one guy in Las Vegas, you know, thought he was gonna have a good time, and then he ended up dead inside of a Las Vegas hotel. Yeah, this happened like a year or two ago.
I think I seen what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so man, as you said, man, good thing that nobody got hurt in the situation. Hopefully this is a learning experience for those young ladies. But maybe not. Maybe not. Let's see. There was two other things that we want to talk about, but I know we had the Drake. There's a lawsuit between Drake and I'm sorry, with alleged lawsuit filed on Drake and Adin Ross about some online betting thing. We'll try to get to that. You know, maybe we could get a few minutes and address that another time. But we're gonna call it. And yeah, we appreciate y'all. Put that up there. Hey, yo. Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Yes, sir. We appreciate you for tuning into the show. For those who like, comment, and subscribe, we appreciate you as well. Thank you for taking out the time to watch us, because you could have been doing anything else, but you took out your hour, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, however long, to come by and holla at your boys. Cool. So,
no doubt.
Any closing remarks from you, Cuzzo?
Yeah, man, as always, appreciate you, Cuzzo, for setting us up, getting us going on the back end, and, you know, happy so-called New Year to you people out there. You know, we'll talk about that on another show. And continue to do your best, you know. Don't settle for less. And, you know, if it seems too good to be true, you know, you look too young, man, hey, gracefully bow out, you know, save yourself the frustration, you know. And that's it for me. You got something?
Yes, sir. I appreciate you as well, Cuzzo. Coming on here. Well, you know, us getting together, getting the topics together, you know, that's a process in itself. You know, trying to bring people what they want to hear, but also, you know, what we want to give them that we think will be beneficial. And we're working on becoming better at that. Like I said, we had a conversation about that. Also, you know, get out of I want to start at the beginning of something type of mindset. You know, don't wait until the beginning of the year. Don't wait until the beginning of the week to get started. Don't wait to the beginning of the hour to get started. Like, get started right now and just carry through, because if you start now, it gives you momentum and you could just continue to roll on through. So, like, you don't have to wait until January 1 to, you know, start these new goals and things like that. And I'm not saying don't set a goal, because it's always great to set a goal for yourself, or goals for yourself. And that's something that I've gotten back into doing, because it gives you something to shoot for. And it also gives you, what's the word I'm looking for? It gives you milestones that you could look at to see where you are and see how close or far you are to that goal. So don't stop creating your goals, but don't wait until the beginning to start. Like, and I mean like the beginning of the week. Like, start right now. So, man, we're gonna turn up this year. And shout out to those who are rolling with us at the very beginning. Great things are gonna happen. your two favorite cousins, signing out. You know what? I think I deleted that outro too, but it's all good. Oh, one other thing. We are still gonna do the movie thing. So stay tuned for that. Is there anything else? No, that's it. Enjoy your weekend. Peace.